Okay guys, welcome back to another short little commentary. I'm just going to do a quick talk over the video as I didn't get a chance to talk to the camera much whilst I was training. So just quickly I wanted to talk a little about the warm-up, how we went about it, and what you can do to improve your training basically. Now a warm-up is something I think people undervalue quite a lot, but I just wanted to talk about the benefits of the warm-up, why we should do it, and how we go about doing that. So warm-ups are not only good from an injury prevention sort of perspective and performance enhancement, but I also think they're good because they get you mentally ready for the session, which is obviously a big part when we're performing maximally, especially whilst we're weight training and also playing sports as well. There is a good article on this, by the way, from Science for Sport, which I'll link below. But basically, it's got a number of benefits, from a lowered viscous resistance in muscles, faster contraction, helps us perform maximally, and also increases blood flow to active muscles. So moving on. So when we're warming up, I typically focus on the RAMP protocol, and that stands for raise, activate, mobilize, and potentiate. And that's split into three phases. So the first phase is the raising phase. Second phase is activate and mobilize. Third phase would be to potentiate. So just going to talk a little bit about that. Phase 1, the raising phase. So that section's aim is to increase heart rate, increase blood flow to the working muscles, and just generally improve joint viscosity. So that's going to be achieved for a number of things, such as a light jog on the bike, squatting, lunging, or crawling, and things that are generally just going to raise the blood flow to the working muscles. Okay. Phase 2, activate and mobilize. Aim of this phase is to not only mobilize the key joints and improve the range of motion around those working joints, but also to activate the key muscle groups which are going to be working when we perform our training session. Okay, you can achieve this phase through typical things and movements such as mini band routines. So you often see people doing crab walks and things like that, squats and lunges, and also supermans and inchworms, which is something that I like to improve, include into my warm-ups pretty much every session. I've also done a video of that on my Instagram account if you want to have a look at that. So moving on to phase 3, this stands for potentiate, or performance as some people like to refer to it, and the primary objective of this phase is to increase the intensity to comparable level the athletes are about to compete in, and also to improve performance, which is utilising the effects of the post-activation potentiation. So that basically means once we perform a movement, a few minutes after we'll be able to perform a similar movement but at a higher intensity or a higher load, which will improve performance. So an example of the potentiation movements might be something like a plyometric movement. So if you're doing weightlifting, then obviously we like to keep it specific and just perform a weightlifting movement at a maximal intensity. Or if you're doing, say, a sport-specific movement, it might be something like tackling the pads, which is obviously when we warm up, we do a bit of pad work in rugby, but also reactive drills such as invasion games and stuff like that. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the RAMP protocol and how you should include it into your warm-up. I hope you took some benefit from that. Back to the video, guys. I hope you enjoy it.
Get up! Solid.
Okay guys, so we're back from university, had a good training session, and then we just got a few hours of revision done for exams next week. And as mentioned in my last video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my nutrition and how you could apply the methods that I use into your everyday routine. So the method I use for my nutrition is intuitive eating. I've tried tracking my calories before, I've tried clean eating, and they work to a degree, but I couldn't adhere to that diet. And obviously, like I spoke about before in my previous videos, adherence to a diet is the biggest thing in determining whether you're going to make progress with it or not. As with any training plan, you need to supplement that with a good nutrition plan or a good diet, and that's what I try and do. So I like my carbs, so I have a fairly high carb diet, moderate amounts of protein, and then a moderate amount of fats as well. But basically how I go about my diet is, like I said, intuitive eating. So basically I've tracked my calories before, so I know a rough amount of the calorie content in each sort of meal that I eat. But basically what you need to think about is, say for example, if I know that I need to be on 2,500 calories each day to be in a deficit, then and I'm eating say 5 meals a day, then I know that roughly each meal that I consume needs to be about 500 calories in order to meet that deficit requirement. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Conversely, you could have say 2,400 calories each day to be in a deficit, and then you might need to consume 4 600 calorie meals. And obviously that becomes quite easy once we know how many calories are in our meals. But say for example, if you're going for this is what I like to recommend to my clients. So say for example, you have breakfast and dinner at home, but you don't like to do meal prep, and that's one thing. Meal prep isn't absolutely key to make progress. You can do it in other ways. So say for example, you're out for lunch all the time and you don't have time to prep your meals, but you can control what you eat at home. So breakfast and dinner, it's quite a good idea to track those. But then obviously when we're out and we're busy, then we don't have time to track our calories, and it's always good to just have a quick look on the calorie content of your, say, meal deal, for example. Just having a quick look at how many calories in your sandwich, preferably go for a 0 calorie drink, and then preferably go for a light calorie snack such as popcorn, which is something I get quite often. But anyway, I'm just going to give you a quick look into my sort of everyday routine with my food, as it usually stays quite consistent, and also give you a quick look into my cupboards and my fridge just to see sort of what sort of diet I'm on, as I'm fairly lean at the moment, but I in no way at all restrict what I eat. I enjoy my food, I enjoy my lifestyle, so I feel like that's something that you could incorporate into your routine as well. So let's have a look. Something that I have pretty much every day is a turkey sandwich. I usually have whole and rye bread, or I usually have a superseed loaf as well. I usually whack one slice of that between 2 slices of bread and just a bit of coleslaw. That literally takes 2 minutes, so if I'm in a rush in the mornings, then 2 of those sandwiches will be pretty decent lunch for me. And again, this bread, like I mentioned in the last video, is like 5 grams of protein per slice, so can't go wrong with that. And that's quite lean as well, generally quite cheap there as well. I have quite a few eggs throughout the day, so I probably usually have 5 or 6 eggs. I'll either have that fried or scrambled. I'm currently making some food for tomorrow and tonight's dinner, so I've got 2 bags of rice in there. What I like to use is just boiling a bag of rice. That takes obviously about 18 minutes, but this box is, it's quite convenient, just chuck in there, low maintenance, which is quite ideal. Haddock fillets, so I usually get like 2 bags of these, 2 bags for £5 an ounce, so again quite cheap. And that's another thing we need to consider. Obviously, as a coach, that's something I need to consider when I look at people's nutrition plans. When I look at people's nutrition plans, I don't just look at their sort of their needs and their requirements. I also look at their budget as well, because obviously that's going to be one thing that's going to have the biggest impact on what they can buy and the quality of foods they can buy. So back to the cupboard. So this is sort of little snack areas. So I've got caramel rice cakes, and I usually top those with some peanut butter. Just go for the reduced fat stuff. These are my weakness, cinnamon and raisin bagels. So again, I'll probably top these with some peanut butter or some jam if I'm feeling extra naughty. These I only really buy when they're on offer. There's only 90 calories each, and quite high in fibre, but they are pretty tasty. The only thing is they're quite small, so I usually end up eating the whole pack quite quickly. I usually snack on a protein bar throughout the day, so I have my breakfast, which is usually this porridge up here. I have a big bag of that mixed with some fruit, some frozen fruit, like raspberries or something like that. And then I'll top that with some honey, and then I'll have my sandwiches for my lunch, and then I usually snack on something like a Fibre One bar, a brunch bar, or a protein bar, depending on how much protein I'm getting in that day. If we look at this side, we've just got sauces. I usually have tuna quite regularly. Stir fries, quite a go-to meal for me, so I'll have the egg noodles. Again, these are quite good, quite low maintenance, and they cook really quickly. And then another one of my weaknesses, big pot of Nutella. So I won't go nuts on that, but I sometimes have, like a spoonful of that or something, just to satisfy the cravings. And then we've got all the seasonings here, fish seasoning, piri-piri seasoning, pepper, some cocoa powder for some hot chocolates, what have you, and some soy sauce for the stir fries, etc. Now, as I mentioned before, I usually have a porridge for breakfast, but I also just got some fruit and fibre and some Weetabix, as I usually quite like to snack on the cereal throughout the day. Especially if I have a busy day, then I just get a quick bowl of cereal and satisfy the cravings and keep me ticking over, really. In this corner, I don't really have protein very often, but if I do, I just go to the chocolate caramel impact whey, supplementing with creatine at the moment, and that's helping me out quite a lot. And then some protein brownies that I've got for body power. As I mentioned, I quite like to have a snack throughout the day, and it obviously helps if that snack's a protein quite high in protein. Quick look into the fridge. I did do a shop yesterday, so we're topped up at the moment. I got these from Body Power, Excite energy drinks, are pretty good. Almond milk, I usually have that with the Weetabix, as that goes really well. Normal milk as well. It's full fat. It's the only way. It's the only way, if you ask me. We got some chicken. This is pretty standard stuff for me. Chicken, cheese. Usually use that on some things like tuna bakes and sandwiches sometimes, and what have you. And then we've got some lean turkey mince, and I usually have that again in some stir fries or some different sort of dishes with that. I usually go to these quite often, Skyr yogurts. They're really nice yogurts. It's 2 for £2, and if we just quickly look at the protein content of this, where are we? So per 100 grams, 9.1 grams of protein, 0.2 grams of fat, and only 8.4 grams of carbs. So pretty good macros on that, and they taste amazing. We haven't got much else in the fridge at the moment, as most of the other food I bought is frozen. And I'll just show you quickly what we've got in the freezer. So, as I mentioned, we've got the haddock fillets. We've also got some basic fillets as well. Big bag of mixed veg, which I usually mix with some rice. And then some frozen duck. I usually go shopping at good times when they reduced all the food. So I usually buy the reduced meats and then just stick in the freezer, which is obviously a good thing anyone can do if they're looking to shop on a budget. Top shelf, nothing special, just got some more mixed vegetables and mainly green stuff. So that's just a quick insight into sort of my nutritional habits, and maybe you could take something from that and use it in your everyday to stay routine. If you've got any more questions, then obviously you can drop me an email, drop me a comment below, or just direct message me on either Instagram or Facebook. Those are probably the best methods to get to me, okay? So, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next video, and take it steady.
Ah!